it's just not my thing. All right. Is it you or your spouse that thing is finance? Let's talk about how we can protect ourselves in the areas that aren't necessarily our thing. All right. Grab your favorite mug. It's time for Coffee with Your Retirement Coach. Welcome back to Coffee with Your Retirement Coach. Speaking of things, I'm your host, Aaron, and that thing behind the clipboard over there is your coach, Nic Yeomans. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, man, good to see you.
We oftentimes find ourselves in the place where we stiff arm and we say, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's okay to ignore, neglect, and when we're operating in a marriage, Nick, you and I see it all the time.
All the time.
There's one spouse that's leading in the books.
Yeah, yeah. You know, we get married, and this is such a typical thing. We get married and, baby, I'll do these things. Honey, I'll do those things.
Yeah.
And there's this division of duties that tends to happen. And finances typically fall in one of two ways. Either, you have one spouse that does the household, bill pay, all that kind of stuff. And then the other spouse is doing the financial planning, the investing, and the taxes and all that stuff. But they never really come together.
Right.
And here's the problem, Aaron. The reality, especially in the older generations, especially in the baby boomer generation, and I know there's exceptions to this rule. I meet with the exceptions all of the time.
Right.
Shout out to you if you're the exception.
You know who you are.
Largely, it is the husband or the man that has taken on the role of the financial planning and the taxes. Again, not always, but many times.
Yeah.
And the wife has taken over the household management.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's my household.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not just the baby boomers, but that has happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the challenge with that plan is it fails, and it fails miserably.
Yep.
Because typically, who dies first?
We do.
We do. Do you know why men normally die first?
Buddy, I want to.
We want to.
I don't know where my car keys are.
It's wrong.
It's
wrong.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's wrong. I know. But anyway, so if they pass first, and they've been doing it for the last 38, 45 years of the marriage, then we have this problem where we have a spouse over here that is stepping into an area that they really haven't had a lot of involvement because they didn't have to,
Right.
or they flat out didn't want to.
Right.
And now here's the bag of resources. Here's the investments. Here's the savings. Here's the stuff
Yes.
they don't want to mess up where their spouse spent so much time setting up. They want to honor their spouse, but at the same time, they don't know the next steps to take.
Yeah.
And it's such a bad plan.
Yeah.
You'll have the well-meaning brother-in-law who steps in, right? You know what? This is what my aunt did when it happened to her, or the well-meaning neighbor.
Yeah.
Phyllis down the street, this is how she did it.
It's
right?
so easy for that step to be an overstep.
Yes.
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally, well-meaning, but everybody's situation is so different.
Yeah.
So we've left our spouse with a lack of confidence, and it's not a good plan, Aaron. So what I'd really love for us to do in this series is tackle the important things of how do you set up a spouse that maybe this isn't their thing, they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it because the other spouse is taking care of it.
Yep.
But if something happened to that spouse,
Yep.
what are some steps you can take to equip them so that they are successful, going through the grieving process, the loss, etc., but mathematically, financially, they're okay?
Yes. Yes. And it sometimes takes a few extra steps of the spouse that it is their thing.
Yeah.
We got to create some SOPs, some standard operating procedures. We need to show that there's an inventory so that we can have an awareness for that client that it's not their thing. It doesn't have to be their thing, but they understand the thing to a degree of, hey, this is where we bank. This is where we have our investments. These are the property titles and registrations. For some people, that's a knockbox. For some people, it's a professional records organizer. But there's one area where we've got that cheat sheet, that blueprint to the inventory.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Aaron, what our audience today hopefully will have as a bit of a takeaway is, one, there is going to be some give and take.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is your thing, like you enjoy it, maybe even like it's almost like a hobby to you, or you're doing it out of necessity because you care about your family. I honor that and I respect that, but you might have to get out of your comfort zone just a little bit to adapt, modify, or change things so that it works for you, but it also works for your spouse. Because what good is the best laid out plan if it can't be understood by the person that ultimately might be dealing with it?
No, Nick, I couldn't agree more. And having an awareness that as those conversations happen, as you set this out, it's not their thing. And if it's because they don't, it's one thing if they just never had to do it, but if they don't enjoy it, if it's not something, let's have some empathy as we invite into this conversation.
Yeah. Aaron, I kind of think about a different situation that kind of relates to this.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've had other financial professionals that have been our clients.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had clients that are financial advisors and financial planners, et cetera.
CPAs.
Absolutely CPAs, attorneys. And, it's interesting. They have this head full of knowledge. They understand the capital markets. They understand the economy. They understand, IRA rules, like they've got great understanding. Their spouse typically doesn't.
Right.
Okay. And even though they might do great with clients, they don't necessarily do a great job of that same communication with their spouse.
Right.
And maybe it's not them, maybe it's their spouse being able to hear it from them.
Sure.
Whatever the reason, what's interesting is when I have both the financial, tax, or legal professional in the room with their spouse, I can say the same exact thing they've been saying, but the spouse can understand me better. And they're like, I've said this for the last 3 years, the last 4 years. And, I don't know what that blockage is, but it's a real thing.
No, it's true.
Right? And so sometimes it does help to have, that third person in the room to help navigate, steer the conversation, because who cares who's delivering the message as long as action's taken and your family set up to win.
Yeah. No, Nick, I think that's great. I think too, invite, and that's a challenge for a lot of people, inviting in that other wise counsel, that other trusted professional. It helps to identify a plan. And if the one that is in that seat is no longer with us, someone else is able to come in behind and say, this is what was happening, and this is how we can carry this forward. And whether that's a budgetary issue or if it's an allocation of assets, and I think there's something in honoring and knowing that you are carrying forward the legacy of the spouse, that it was their thing.
And that's real talk.
Yeah.
That is real talk. So I think if this is, the audience, like you're wrestling with this, maybe you're the spouse that this isn't your thing. You're also going to have some give and take. You might have to attend an hour-long meeting that you'd rather be in the gardening club. You'd rather be, building, was it trains? I've got a client right now, like that is all like totally their thing, their escape. You've got other hobbies. You have other interests. You'd rather do anything but this.
Yeah.
I understand. I hear you. But if you do make that important next step of attending a few of those meetings where the communication plan is in place, you're both on the same page, everybody understands what would happen if something happens to either of you, I promise you the peace of mind that comes with that is invaluable. You'll sleep better, you'll feel better, and to be quite frank with you, if you have children, they're going to feel better about it.
All right. So key takeaways for this couple, this hypothetical couple that we see all the time.
Right.
One, if you're the person in the marriage and it's not your thing, be open, be receptive. We want you to be a student, not necessarily a scholar. All the time we talk about raising your gaze.
Yeah.
Be open and understand, hey, I know that I might not always be here, is on the mindset of that other person in the relationship. and for the spouse that it is their thing. Make sure that you're able to document what you're doing, which is hard sometimes. You have to say, this is why I've done it. And maybe you didn't have to be accountable to anybody before. But that's so important when you're going to bring in that trusted professional to help engage. And again, we want to be respectful. We want to be patient. These are things that are not always easily done. But again, it's not okay to just say, this is not my thing. We want to set ourselves up for success, no matter who the last person standing in the relationship is.
Yeah, man. So good.
Yep. All right. So you heard from the coach, and we know it's hard when it's not your thing, or you're married to the person that it's not your thing. We know that that can be a difficult conversation. If you'd like some help, some pointers on that, email us about your specific scenario at connect@yourretirementcoach.com. What we want is we want to see your team succeed no matter what. You did the first step. You showed up today. You were coachable. Now we just want to encourage you, see it out. Stay coachable. We hope you enjoyed today's show, but you may have questions for our coaches, and they can be emailed at connect@yourretirementcoach.com. If you know someone that needs to hear this episode, we encourage you to share it. As a reminder, the content of this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as advice. On behalf of our coaches, we want to thank you for listening and for being coachable.
Yeomans Consulting Group, a registered investment advisor YouTube channel based in Marietta, Georgia. We strive to provide comprehensive wealth management services for every stage of the journey. This platform is solely for informational purposes and is not offering advisory services or sales of securities. Investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Comments by viewers or recognitions are no guarantee of future investment outcomes and do not ensure that a viewer will experience a higher level of performance or results. Public comments posted on this site are not selected, amended, deleted, or sorted in any way. If applicable, certain editing of personal, identifiable information and misinformation may be deleted. The opinions expressed herein are as of the date of publication and are subject to revision due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass.